What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric, and today we have a special video. I'm going to go over 10 pros and 10 cons to joining the military, specifically the U.S. Army, which is where I served from 2001 to 2009. So I have a pretty good experience, and I can talk about some of the things that are really beneficial, in my opinion, the 10 most beneficial things to joining the Army, and the 10 biggest cons for joining the Army. So if you're a younger person, or even if you're in your 30s, they'll still take you, and you're thinking about joining the Army or the Navy, Marines, whatever, check out this video first. And I'm going to start with a con because this is the one thing, and there's lots of things actually that are different between the Army and the military and any other job, but every job has its differences. But the one major difference, the one big problem, the one reason I would hesitate to suggest it, because if this wasn't true, I would really suggest almost everyone to give it a try. But there's one problem. You can't quit. You are contractually obligated. So if you end up in a situation, you go join the Army, you end up at your unit, and your boss, I say boss, I don't call bosses, but you get my drift, your boss, your superior, your non-commissioned officer above you, happens to be an absolute psychopath who you hate, and you hate the people you work with, and you're just miserable every day, and you're just like, I just want to go home. I hate this. I blew it. This was a huge mistake. You're screwed. You can't just get out. I mean, there are ways to get out early, but you need a good reason, and even there's a big process, and it's a pain in the ass. And most people will just say, just finish your time. If you did a 2-year term, just finish your 2 years, 3 or 4 year, finish your time, get out. Just tough it out. That's what I had to do. I was in a situation before I got out where I had the most insane, superior, psychopath, power-hungry individual, and I will get into that in more videos, but I was in a situation where I wanted to quit. I was ready to quit, and I couldn't. You can't. You are stuck for the most part. So that is a huge con right there. And I'm not saying that they should change that. I mean, obviously it needs to be that way. You can't just have people quit in the military, but still, it's definitely a con. So let's get to a pro, and a big pro is you will get veteran status for the rest of your life, and you'll be able to take advantage of that for the rest of your life. Discounts at lots of places. Obviously, once a year, Veterans Day, you're going to get tons of discounts, free food, and you're just going to be a veteran. It may be on your driver's license. Most states will put that on there, and you get that little extra respect. It's not like you're now going to be worshipped or anything. It's not that big a deal, but it is nice to have that status and to be a veteran. You'll get a little more respect, here and there. And again, discounts, you'll save money. So let's go to the second con, and that would be you do have to go through basic training.
What's your name, scumbag?
Sir, Private Brown, sir!
Bullshit. From now on, you're Private Snowball. Do you like that name?
Sir, yes, sir!
You got to go to boot camp, okay? You got to go to basic training. It is pretty miserable, at least day one. I remember that first day was probably the worst day, one of the worst days of my life. But after that, once you get into the routine, you're going to meet a lot of friends. Yeah, it's tough training. You're going to get physically fit, though. And it's really not that bad. And I hear that it's even easier nowadays. I hear they have stress cards. And they can be like, drill sergeant, I have a stress card. You can't yell at me. So for all I know, it's a complete walk in the park country club right now. When I was in 2001, when I went to basic training, actually, I had a lot of fun. But certainly it's not somewhere you want to be, and you really look forward to it being over. But it's something you have to do. I would say overall it's a con because obviously you'd rather not have to go through that. Yes, you will get yelled at, and it's not comfortable, and it's you're gonna have some good times and bad in basic training. But overall, I'm gonna put it as a con because obviously in most jobs you don't have to go through some boot camp in order to start working. So that's the con number 2, I would say. Also, you have to go to AIT, Advanced Individual Training, to learn your job. There are drill sergeants there as well, but it's way more laid back. I actually loved AIT, so I don't really consider that a con. But again, everyone has a different experience. So you do have to go through a period of time in basic training. Then you have to go through a period of time in advanced individual training before you even go to your unit and actually start your normal job. So just a little bit of a con there, but very important. It's basically your training period, and it's it could be really miserable just depending on your situation. Second pro is the benefits you'll get just from deciding to join. And after you get out, you'll have a GI Bill, assuming that was part of your enlistment agreement. And they'll pay for your college, and they'll give you even extra. It doesn't just give you exactly what you need for your books and your tuition. They'll throw you a big amount of money every month, and unless you go to a real expensive college, you should have some left over. You can go ahead and pocket that cash, and it's going to be a substantial amount. So you basically get paid after you get out just to go to college. You're going to get a free education and extra money to throw in your pocket on top of it, and you can also get a bonus when you go in. I didn't get a bonus, but I have heard that you can get a pretty good substantial bonus when you go in, and you have to just negotiate all of that. So keep that in mind. I mean, that's huge. That's absolutely massive. What job is going to do that for you? They pay for your college, and there's probably several other benefits that you can get just from joining in agreements, that what they'll pay for, and bonuses and whatever. I mean, I don't know, but I know when I went in, I got the GI Bill. I got $50,000 for the GI Bill. And wow, I mean, I pretty much lived off that for the first year or two that I was out. I got a bachelor's degree, and just awesome. But con number 3, this is the con that probably most people think of when they think of, the military. I know the first thing I thought of when I thought about joining the military was this con, which is you could get hurt. You could get killed. I mean, there are lots of jobs, obviously, that can be very dangerous. Lots of jobs have, somewhat of a hazardous workplace. There are warehouses and things like that, or, it just nothing new that you get hurt on the job. That's why they put that little sign, 24 days since the last injury. But here, people may be shooting at you. I had to go to war. I had to go to Iraq, and there was bullets going by my head. One of them could have easily hit my head. It did not. I was lucky, but it is a risk. You could die. You could die. I mean, that's I would consider that a con. And the thing about that particular con is it almost renders moot and meaningless every pro. What good is any of these pros if you are dead? And so, look, I mean, the odds are you're not going to die. The odds are you will survive a 2-year, 3 or 4 year, or even if you decide to stay in and retire, or go stay in for 8 years or 10 or whatever, 20, odds are you'll survive. Most do. And especially nowadays, we're not, looking at another World War II type situation, or Civil War, or Vietnam, or anything that crazy. But we still have wars. We still have conflicts, and you could perish. But if you don't perish, or if you just get hurt, or later on in your life after you get out, you need to go see a doctor, which I would recommend once a year just for a checkup. You can do that because you have medical benefits, and that's pro number 3, medical benefits for the rest of your life. Not only that, I will throw also as part of this medical compensation. If you get hurt while you're in, you can get compensated for the rest of your life. You can get paid every month for the rest of your life if you have any kind of injury, including PTSD, while you're in. That is huge. If you hurt your back while you're in and you have major back problems after you get out, you'll get paid for that. You just have to apply. But even if you don't have a major injury or any injury at all, you still have medical coverage, and you can still go see a doctor for the rest of your life. I know I've been having foot problems lately. My heel has been messed up with plantar fasciitis. I don't have to worry about it. I do have to worry about it because it sucks, but I have a podiatrist I can go see at the VA. And there's every kind of doctor that you want to see, you have it. You have coverage. While you're in, obviously you have full coverage, and dental as well while you're in. When you get out, I don't have dental, but I have full medical. So you're going to have medical coverage. You could get paid for your injuries for the rest of your life if you have any. So that's a pretty big pro right there. Con number 4 is even if you don't get deployed to go to war, you still have to go to the field. That's what we called it when I was in. We're going to the field. Absolute pain in the ass. It just kind of cuts off your regular life and everything, and you have to go, basically, for lack of a better word, you're going out camping, except you're training out in the middle of nowhere. Sometimes you have to go to another state to do it. I've been all over the country training, going to desert states to get some, used to the training. I've been in Arizona training, California, down Southern California, some more desert areas down there, and done some serious training. But it's a con because it's not, it may sound fun, but you know, you're living your normal life and everything. You have friends, and it's like, oh, we're going to the field. It's not something you look forward to for most people. There will be fun times when you're doing some training and everything, but usually it's a pain. You got to go there, you got to set up tents and everything, and you still got to deal with some of the other things I'm about to get into. Some of the cons of, you know, dealing with your superiors in the Army is not always easy. Talking to people is not always easy, and you're in that life out in the field. You're not out there camping to have a good time going fishing and barbecuing or anything or whatever the heck. No, nothing like that. You're still going to have your friends. You're going to, you know, have your buddies and everything that you're going to get along with while you're there. And so you get by, you get through it, but it's still not something you really look forward to, I think, for most people. Going to the field is not something I enjoyed. And in my units that I was in, we did it all the time. So going to the field, you might go maybe a couple months out of the year, you might be training out in the field. Kind of a pain in the ass, but mandatory, required, and it makes sense. You have to get out there and be ready for when you really get deployed, that you know what to do and you've been through simulations. So, you know, it's something that you have to do, and going to the field, that is a con. But on the alternate side, although yes, you have to go to the field a lot, you also get lots of time off. When you're not in the field, 4-day weekends all the time. Every holiday, every federal holiday, you get a 4-day weekend. And I think there's been a new one now. Juneteenth is a federal holiday now. You probably get a 4-day weekend for Juneteenth. I don't know. I assume you do, because when I was in, all federal holidays, 4-day weekend. You also get leave, vacation, guaranteed. You can use it. A couple weeks a year, I think. When I was in, 2 weeks a year vacation and all these 4-day weekends. 4-day weekends, you can pretty much do what you want. I mean, you can't leave. I think there's you have to stay around the city that you're in, but you can get a pass. You get a pass, and obviously the fact that you're limited, that you can't just go wherever you want, is going to be a con. I'll talk about in a little bit, but in general, you have those 4 days to do what you want. So it's awesome. 4-day weekends are the best. Number 5 con. This is one that I really despise about being in the Army, and that is, I talk about your superiors, your boss, if you will. In the regular world, you see your boss when you go to work. You could have multiple bosses. You see them when you go to work. When you're off work, you don't see them. Nobody's your boss when you're off work. You live your life. In the Army, no. Your boss is everywhere. Everywhere, because if they outrank you, they are your boss. You don't even have to know them. They can chew you out. They can scream at you. They can smoke you. I mean, making you do push-ups out in public if they think you've done something wrong, making you do push-ups. How embarrassing is that? I had to do push-ups at a McDonald's, but that's a story for a later video. You live in this world, this little bubble, even in the town, the city next to the base would apply, because they're all over the place there too. You know, it's a military town because it's by a military base. And your bosses are everywhere, and you have to be aware of that. Ready to salute officers, ready to properly respect, and ready to not screw up in any kind of way. Even a normal way, like, oh, I left my keys somewhere or something, or you just make a little error, or you park your car a little sideways. Just basic things that we do a little messed up from time to time. Just little normal human mistakes. You could get chewed out, you could get smoked, and be doing push-ups in some random parking lot somewhere because your bosses are everywhere on your ass. Luckily, number 5, you will meet great friends in the Army, because they're not all your bosses, and many of them are your peers. I think more so than a normal job. I've worked lots of normal jobs. I don't really stay in touch with most of the people I worked with at grocery stores or something. I mean, they're cool, and we become friends. We talk, we enjoy it. But in the Army, it's a special bond, you know, because y'all are going through some shit together. So whether it's basic training, I'm still in touch with some of my friends from basic training. I'm still in touch with some of my friends from AIT, and certainly from my unit when I was, went to my regular unit. So you will meet friends for life, and it's something that kind of helps you get through, because again, despite all these pros, there's lots of cons. There's lots of miserable experiences in the Army, and you're going to need some good friends, and you will meet lots of them in the Army. Number 6, this kind of goes along with the previous one about how your bosses are everywhere. You really have a very limited private life in the Army, in the military. If something happens outside of your base that normally would just be part of your private life, more than likely, your superiors will get word of that and you will get chewed out. To include just a simple speeding ticket. If you get a speeding ticket, more than likely they will get word of that and you will get in trouble for that. You will get yelled at work for a speeding ticket. Now, for me, I was pretty clean. Like, I didn't get in a lot of trouble. I didn't get any DUIs or anything like that. And it didn't apply to me too much. But I just think it's kind of sucks that you have to worry about wherever you're going, anything happens, you are going to get in trouble at work for things that normally would be considered a private matter. Anything the law is involved or police get called or anything like that, even if you're out of uniform, completely on your own, you can't just handle it on your own. You know, I know one time it was some kind of I had an expired tag. I didn't realize it, just didn't realize it. You know, it happens. So my tag was expired. I got pulled over, and the officer was cool and everything. He's like, yeah, just, you know, get that thing updated and everything. This is just a warning. I thought I was good. The officer was cool. My bosses at my superiors, oh, I got destroyed. Now I'll get into that in a later video, but it's just very frustrating. It's like, man, this is a private matter, but it's not. Nothing's a private matter. They know about everything. But the 6 Pro, this is such a massive pro. For most people, you will get completely free rent. You don't have to pay rent. You don't have to pay bills like normal bills. Obviously, you might have some credit card bills or something. That's your own issue. But as far as paying your garbage, paying your electricity, that's taken care of. You can live in the barracks for free. Now, if you're married or you have a family, you could live off base, and I'm not sure how that works because that wasn't my situation. You might have to pay a little bit, but I know that they help. They may completely pay. There is also housing on the base. I think it's completely paid for. If you know about that, put it in the comment section. But it's definitely they're going to pay for a large portion of that and your bills. If you're single like I was, straight up, barracks. And the barracks sound bad. When I say that, you don't picture like freaking, Full Metal Jacket and all the freaking bunks and everything. And no, it ain't like that. You usually will get your own place. You might have a roommate, but you have your TV, you have your thing. It's just a nice little. It's like an apartment. It's like an apartment, and it could be an apartment complex. It's a little bit worse because there's going to be room inspections and things like that. But for the most part, it's pretty chill. It's pretty nice, and it's free. That's the pro. It's free. Completely free. No rent, no bills for the most part. I mean, that's huge. Number 7, again, back to the topic of dealing with your superiors, because this is the one thing. Yes, they're everywhere. You have a limited private life, but also you can't really speak freely like you can. That's why you hear sometimes permission to speak freely. You have to ask to speak freely, because if you are kind of speaking too casual, you'll get yelled at. It's okay. Yes, you have to show some respect for your superiors in any job, and in the Army, it's ramped up, but it's ramped up to 1,000,000, to the point that I almost feel like you worship these people above you, and they're not really human beings. You have to talk to them in a certain way, and for many, they may love that aspect of the Army or the military and get used to it, and it's all good, and they may look forward to being the day when people will have to talk to them that way. I was uncomfortable with it. I didn't want to. You have to address me as sergeant every sentence. You have to stand in a certain way. You have to stand in parade rest when you talk to NCOs. You have to stand at attention when you talk to officers. You pass by an officer, you have to salute them. They salute you back. It's all part of the lifestyle. It's all part of the training. But it gets to a point where sometimes something practical is happening, especially in war. Over in Iraq, it's a situation, and I need to express that situation. We're trying to fix a problem. There's a problem because I was in communications. Maybe a phone line's down. We need to fix this phone line. I think it's out. And then you start talking and say, "What'd you say?" Sorry, we need to fix this phone line, Sergeant. I mean, it's like this is a practical war situation. I'm not worried about it, but they get your feelings hurt or your whatever, your pride is hurt because I didn't, use the right terminology. It happens. If you say like, yeah. Don't say yeah. Don't say casual stuff like that. It might slip sometimes. That's happened to me sometimes. And I'm missing something. I was like, I remember I'm missing some tool or something, and we were in there. It's like, did you see it? Didn't Private Smith just have it? And I'm like, yeah, but I don't know why. Yeah. I could be like, yes, Sergeant. And it could be more laid back depending on, again, who your superiors are. The person who was over me was insane. And I had to be very careful about it. And it always depends. Same with your commanding officers and everything. Some of them could be a little more laid back. But no matter what, you still got to show your respect, and I'm all about that. But it just goes a little overboard that you can't get basic things done in critical situations sometimes in war, and they're worried about giving them the proper respect. And it got to a point where I think one time, I was about at my limit with this particular NCO over me, that I pretty much gave the Happy Gilmore speech. It went something like this.
I'm stupid, you're smart. I was wrong, you were right. You're the best, I'm the worst. You're very good looking, I'm not attractive.
And yeah, my NCO didn't take that too well, but I was at a point where I was just like, look, you are the best, I am the worst, okay? You are the greatest ever, and I'm a piece of shit. So we have now established that. Can we just calm down with I'm trying to say yes, Sergeant, so Sergeant, no, Sergeant. I'm trying to do all that respectful stuff to my best of my ability. I was actually a good soldier because I know this from the times I was not under this psychopath. And I was just, first sergeants loved me. Everyone knows, I came with pressed uniform, shined boots, and worked hard. And I thought, for the most part, I was definitely a above average soldier, if you will. But doesn't really matter when you have a power hungry psychopath over you. Punishment is not speaking to you like an adult and just, letting you know what you did wrong and said, my mistake, I'll make sure that won't happen again. No, it's making you do a bunch of push-ups and sit-ups and whatever else they want to make you do in front of everyone. And it's what it is. You may love it about it. A lot of people I'm sure do. Military lifers, this is the way. To me, it was just unnecessary. It was just unnecessary and just not productive. I work out in my own time. I don't need to do a workout right here because I made a mistake. I understand what I've done wrong. We could speak about it like adults, but no. But pro number 7, this is a big pro, in my opinion. You get to visit other states, other countries, see the world for free. It's part of your job, yes, but still, while you're there, you get to actually visit, sightsee, go places. I lived in Korea, loved it. Absolutely loved my last year in the Army was in Korea. And that year was so amazing. I would have stayed in the Army if the rest of the Army was like that. But I was already in my mind getting the hell out. So when I went to Korea, I was already getting out. It turned out I absolutely loved it there and started to have second thoughts. And I was like, what am I doing? No, I'm out. I'm getting out. And I got out. But it was awesome. And, visiting, going to go to Seoul, getting to go to baseball games there and, things that I love. Also got to, when I was in Iraq, obviously it was war, weren't really there to sightsee, but you still get to see you get to experience it and see these other cultures. So that's pretty cool. And as for even stateside, going to places you may never go, I've been to New York, I've been to Florida, I've been to Georgia, I've been to Texas, Oklahoma, all over the entire country, Arizona. I mean, some of these states I've been to anyway, but I got to go to places and cities that I would have never seen before. So you get to travel for free and see different cultures. You can go to Germany, you can go to Bosnia. Not every one of these places is going to be a walk in the park, but you still will get to, with your own eyes, see these places. So that, to me, is a pro. This next one I'm going to put as a con, but it could be considered a pro. This could be considered a pro, just how you want to look at it. I'm going to say it's a con because most jobs will not require you to wake your ass up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go do some physical training. It's part of the job, and it's possibly a pro because you stay in shape. It keeps you in shape. It forces you to go work out almost every day, and you go run, and you run in a group. And the only reason I'm putting it as a con, though, is because you don't get to pick what time you want to do your workout. You have to wake your ass up early as freak, even though normal job don't start till 9. You're up at 5 o'clock to go do PT. That's not exactly something that we would appreciate. I mean, if your job said, say you're working at AutoZone, you go to work at 9, and AutoZone said, hey guys, from now on, we're actually going to go ahead and meet here at 5 o'clock in the morning so we can go run a whole bunch of miles. I'm pretty sure the AutoZone employees aren't going to go, yes! So it's definitely a con. Because I would rather personally work out on my own time. I still run today. I still run and work out, but I do it on my own time. And at that time, certainly the hell is not 5 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock or anything of the sort. Although sometimes I might wake up at 7 or 8. But it's a lot earlier than that in the Army, at least when I was in. Number 8 is an important one. You do get structure. You will learn discipline. Not everyone needs this, but it is a pro. If you don't know where your life is going, where it's heading, and you don't know what you're going to do. Maybe you didn't get that good of grades in high school. You're not going to get accepted into very many colleges, and you can't pay for it even if you did want to go. And you just don't know where you're going. You have a job that's a dead-end job, and it sucks. This is a place that will give you some structure, it'll teach you some discipline, and it could make you a better person. And even if not, well, you're going to have money for college, and you're going to have all the other pros I've talked about. So at least you'll have a brighter future once you get out. So just saying, for this one, I'm just saying structure and discipline. It's just something that I think a lot of people I would suggest to go. Although the only thing that would stop me from that is going back to my number 1 in the cons, you can't quit. So if you hate it, it's like, uh-oh. Not to mention number 3, you could die. So I would hate to be the one to recommend someone to go to the Army, and then that ends up happening. So instead, I can only say, it could very well help certain people who need some structure in their life, who need some extra discipline perhaps. It could definitely help them, and it's something they should consider. I'm not saying go, I'm saying consider it. And keep in mind, again, odds are you will survive your term. Odds are you will, just like odds are you will survive any other job you get, but something terrible can always happen. So just keep that in mind. Number 9, one that a lot of people think about, this one, it's figured I put as a pro, you get to see other countries, you get to visit all over, but that can also be a con because you move a lot. Moving all over the place, especially for families. Constantly moving. Pain in the ass to move. For me, as a single person with not that much shit, it wasn't that big a deal. I enjoyed it. I wanted to usually leave. The only place I didn't want to leave was Korea. Before that, I was begging to get the hell out of the place I was at. Because again, go back to my NCO, who was an absolute maniac. Now that happens. It's, even if you do land in a situation like that, you can usually get out of it. You can usually go to a new unit. So I will say that about, you can't quit, but you might be able to get different conditions or get somewhere else, but it will take time. I put in a request to go to Korea because at the time I was in, nobody wanted to go to Korea. I begged to go to Korea, and they sent me there, and it got me the hell out of where I was. And then I had a great year in Korea. So it is kind of a con, though, that you could be involuntarily moved all over the place. If you're in for 20 years, you might end up at 8 different places. I don't know. It just depends. But you will be moving a lot. And that's mainly a con for people with a family, I would say. Number 9, I'm going to put a few in this one because this is a huge pro right here. You pick your job. You can have to do whatever you want to do. You pick your job. Huge promotion opportunities. The first few promotions are automatic. After you just need to be in long enough, you'll get some promotions. And with each promotion, you get a little more money, a little more respect. Not too much. E1, E2, private. Private's a private for the most part. A private first class. Okay. And you got a little bit of say-so over the other privates, but not much. Then you become a specialist. That's a nice rank to have. And then you become an NCO, a sergeant. And from there, you can keep on moving up the ladder, and you get more respect. You obviously get better pay and all that. So huge promotion opportunities, however high you want to get, and you get your awards. And it's pretty fun to to move up as you've been in more. It's kind of like a video game. You get your points, you get your little awards and stuff. It's kind of fun. And if you want, you retire after 20 years, which is not that long. If you go in when you're 18, you retire at 38. A very young 38, you're retired. And if you want to go work another job and make even more money while you're retired and getting that full pension, you can do that. So this number 9 is just like, this is a good job as far as your basic promotion opportunities, picking what you want to do. Obviously, there's some limitations when you go into what job you can do depending on what you scored on, the ASVAB test when you go in, I think is what it's called. And so if you sucked at that, you can't just do anything. But if you get a good score on that, then you will have more job opportunities before you. And that way, it's a good job as far as just your benefits of your typical benefits, your promotion opportunities, your retirement, and all that is first class. This last one was actually a positive for me, but most people consider this a negative, and that's details. Details means they will take you away from your normal job, and you'll have to do something that for most people is pretty miserable. like mowing grass in the heat. I had to mow grass for 3 months, 3 very hot months back in 2002. But I was actually only too happy to do it. Actually, I hated it, but it was actually an upgrade over my normal job again, which was torture because of my superior, because of the NCO above me. I wanted to get away from her at all costs, including mowing grass in the heat for 3 months. But you might have to do that. You might have to go work at a gym, in a local gym for a while. You just have to do these details. Most people don't like getting put on a detail. I enjoyed it. I worked at a museum at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and I wanted to just stay. I was like, can I just work here for the rest of my Army career? I will stay in for 20 years. I'll sign a contract right now to stay in 20 years if I can work in this museum for the next 20 years. That was the most awesome thing ever. You dress up in Civil War uniform. At the museum, you get to dress up in a Civil War uniform. And you go out every day, you put up the flag, and you run a museum. It was sweet, but they wouldn't let me do it for as long as I wanted, but it was really cool. But usually a detail can involve just some miserable stuff. Could be helping out some construction workers who are building something, working out in the heat, laying down concrete. Who knows what the hell you'll end up doing. There's all kinds of details. This is just things that go on the base that they need bodies, and you could be one of those bodies. Usually it's not something overly complicated. It's something that anybody can do, but usually miserable. People don't like getting put on a detail. I only loved the details because I got the hell away from my boss. And the last pro, I would say, in my opinion, is you get to go to the shooting range. Now, from some that might not be a pro, to me, it's a lot of fun. Not only that, you get to play with high-tech, expensive gear that you see in movies that you would never get to mess with. You know, night vision goggles and just all kinds of stuff. You know, depending on your job, it's just cool as fuck. Like, you're like, dude, you'd feel like Jason Bourne out there messing with this high-tech stuff, and it's really cool. And you actually know what you're doing because you're trained. And, you know, usually you just kind of get into the job and you're doing it, but sometimes it just crosses your mind like, holy shit, look what I'm doing right now. This is crazy. But you also get to go to the shooting range. You get to fire weapons. You get to do that training and everything. Obviously, if you have to really fire your weapon in war, it's not so much fun. But just the training and everything and getting to mess with some of this high-tech stuff can be really cool. So it does have it. And that's kind of what those commercials show you. They show all the awesome stuff. The helicopters. You know, I got to fly in a helicopter and they were killing people, so it really wasn't that fun. But at the end of the day, you will get opportunities to mess with some cool stuff, and you will, for the most part, have a fun time, I think, with that. And that pretty much does it. As you can see, there's a ton of pros. I mean, think about if I told you there's a job where after you leave this job, you will be respected and get discounts all kinds of places for the rest of your life. You will get thousands and thousands of dollars so that you can go to college and get an education, and you can pocket some of that money while you're at it. We're also going to pay for your medical bills for the rest of your life. Not to mention that if you get hurt in any way, we're going to go ahead and compensate you for the rest of your life for that injury. Oh, you're going to get 4-day weekends and a whole bunch of vacation time as well. There's not going to be no rent. We're going to take care of all your bills for you. And you can, by the way, go visit other countries and all that stuff on the house. That's going to be completely free. You can pick your job, by the way, what you want to do. You can get plenty of promotions, and you can retire after just 20 years. And we're going to give you all kind of cool shit to mess with as well. Would you be interested? Where the hell do I sign? Except then you find out, wait a minute, you have to treat your bosses like royalty, and if they treat you like shit and you're completely miserable and you hate it, and they go tear apart your room and they just, make you do push-ups and all kinds of stuff like that in front of other people, embarrass you out in public all the time, and it's a complete torture fest, you can't quit. You're stuck. So there you have it. I think for a lot of people it would be good for them. I think if I was a recruiter, I would be very honest and say both the pros and the cons like I did in this video. But the pros are very strong, as you can see. I mean, it's pretty damn impressive. But again, if you're miserable, you can't quit. You're stuck. So I would suggest, if you can, try to get in for 2 or 3 years, 4 at the most. I know there are some 5-year, 6-year contracts as well. Try to get in for as low as you can, as long as you get the job that you want. I know there's certain jobs, like you can be a mechanic and go in for 2 years. At least when I was in, lots of mechanics were in for 2 years. That's just beautiful. Going for 2 years, you're going to be a veteran. You're going to learn to work on vehicles and stuff, and you're going to get out. 2 years. So that's kind of what I wish I would have done when I went in. I went into communications instead, and I had to stay in for a long time, and I didn't like it, and I didn't like it until the end. But I'll talk more about my personal experience later. This is just a quick overview of 10 pros, 10 cons. Let me know what you think. Put some stuff that I missed in the comment section down below. Guys, have a great day, and I appreciate you checking out this video. Hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe. We'll talk to you next time.